Before we start with the videos, let me first go over the rules on how to play King's Row. The object of the game is to make a better poker hand in your King's Row than your opponent to win. Each player has two suits. One player has red, hearts and diamonds, and the other player has black, spades and clubs. And each has a set of chips ranging from the ace to the 8. Each player also has a joker. The jokers are wild, meaning they can not only be used to make three of a kind, but also to replace a needed chip that was taken by your opponent. Example, your opponent took your ace. You can use the joker as a replacement for your lost ace. The only hand that you cannot make is four of a kind. The type of hands you can make are royal flush, straight flush, full house, flush, straight, three of a kind, two pair, one pair, highest card. In King's Row, because the jokers are wild, these would be the highest card instead of the aces. Before the start of a game, the game pieces are turned upside down and then mixed up and placed on the board still upside down. The game pieces are then turned over and the game is ready to start. After the game pieces are turned over, each player can get a sense of what type of hand their opponent might try to make based on how the game pieces are placed. Also, a player will get to see the type of advantage their opponent might have. I am only going to be showing one side of the board on how this is done. The other side is showing you how the board is going to be set up when everything is finished. The first thing you do is both players mix up their game pieces with the game pieces being turned upside down, and then they place them on the board, not getting any chips into the King's Row. You will see this over and over again in the videos when they are played. Okay. Once the board is set up at this point on both sides, then the players turn their chips over. And at this point, the game is ready to start. First thing players generally do is to see the placement of each player's jokers. As you see, mine is on this side and his is on that side up front. And we spoke about that earlier. And also where the aces are. Because aces and jokers can typically move across the board unimpeded unless they come in contact with another ace or a joker. So at this point, the game is then ready to start playing. And a player typically, again, looks to see what type of hand their opponent on that side of the board can make and also what they can do. The player having all their higher chips in the front has an advantage over their opponent having theirs in the back because they can move their chips without fear of having them taken, while their opponent must first work their way through their lower chips in front of their higher chips just to put them in a position to be able to take any of their opponent's chips. In order to jump a game piece and take it out of play, your piece has to be the same or higher than the piece you want to jump, meaning a jack can jump another jack and every other game piece smaller than a jack, but it cannot jump a queen or a king because it is smaller. As we were saying, in order for a chip to jump another chip, it has to be the same or higher. An example would be if red had the move, the 10 cannot jump the queen because the queen is higher than the 10. So this 10 cannot jump this queen, but the queen can jump the 10. Likewise, you can jump as many pieces as you are the same as or higher. In this case, the ace of clubs can jump. The ace of clubs can jump. They're here, here, and here because the ace is the same as this, but higher than this, so he can jump all of those game pieces. Now, In a situation where I wanted to protect that from happening, I could then move this piece here, which would block that, because in order to jump, you have to have a space to jump. Okay, so likewise, joker can jump a joker, and a chip can jump every chip that it is the same or higher. So as long as there's a space between, you can jump all of those pieces and take them out of the game. A tip. You usually use your smaller chips to set up jumping a larger chip. However, sometimes you might need a smaller chip to make your hand. So you must be mindful of any chip you give up. That said, if you do not need an ace to complete your hand, then losing it is not serious. As a rule, you want to always try to jump a player's joker, because this removes their ability to make three of a kind, and you are in a much better position to possibly win. However, you do not need to jump a player's game piece to take it out of the game. If you can position a player's game piece in such a way that it will never get into the king's row, then you have also removed it from the game. We also talked about not having to jump your opponent's chip to take it out of the game. In this scenario, the joker is basically locked into this position because he can't move, because he can't jump anything. This is a perfect scenario where if you can cause your joker or your opponent's joker to move into a situation like this, you can hold him there sometimes for the whole game. But the way the joker can get out of that situation is if he could then move a game piece to a situation where that 9 being larger than the 8s, he would have to jump it, and now the joker is free to get in. Okay? But if it was a situation where it wasn't a game piece smaller than the 9, let's say if it was a king, the 9 can't jump the king, so that joker still stays locked in that spot. So that's a way of blocking a joker or an ace, it doesn't matter which size piece it is, to keep them from getting it into the king's row. Another way to take a game piece out of the game without having to be able to jump it, because in this case we're talking about a joker, is to move it on the side of a board where there's no possible way for it to get into the king's row. In this situation, the joker has many options of getting over here into one of these two spaces. But if a player, in this case, moved here, causing this joker to have to jump, and then does this again, causing this joker to have to jump again, you have taken this joker out of the game because it's no way possible for it to get over here into the king's row. So without having a piece to be able to take that joker out normally, you can just move it into a location to where there's no way it can get into the king's row, and as such makes that joker useless. And in this case, where he could have had 3 aces, I have 3 aces. No, that's reversed. That's me. So they have 3 aces, and I have a pair of aces. Now my feelings are hurt. Those are just some of the strategies, and as you go along and learn the game, you will see all different types of strategies that you will develop yourself, of ways of how you can either jump up opponent's pieces, or how you can manipulate them into a situation where you can take them out of the game. Another consideration with jokers, if you know you cannot stop the joker anyway, help it into the king's row. This way your joker will be the highest chip on the board and able to do a lot of damage to your opponent's hand. I have already told you about giveaway. Now let me show you how it works. Okay, we talked about giveaway. In giveaway, like I said, that is where you have to watch and pay attention that your opponent doesn't give away his game pieces, or in your case, you give up your game pieces so you can win. As you can see right now, black has a joker, which can be anything it wants, And it's looking like he has the potential of actually getting a straight flush. Here is the ace of spade. If it's able to get this ace of spade over in here, then that means that they would have a straight flush, and the best I would have is a pair of aces. Now, in order to prevent that from happening, if it was my move, what I would do is give up my other game pieces, which means I would move my 9 here, causing the king to jump. In King's Row, you move forward, but you can't jump backwards. This would cause this king to have to jump my 9, take it out. Then my next move would move my jack here. The queen is larger, so it would jump my jack. Now I have no more moves, so the best hand that they would have here is a pair of queens, and I would have a pair of aces, which means I would win because a pair of aces is higher than a pair of queens. That's what you would have to look out for in giveaway. Now to the video.